Well, hello. It's another episode of Torn, and we have some. Am I loud, Laurel? And we have some new guests on today. Can everybody hear me up here? Just nod your heads. I'm waiting for Laurel. Laurel, are you there?
Yes, hi, I'm here. I was getting
Okay.
clicking sound again, so I was chatting with you, but now it's gone. So
Okay. All right. So, we're gonna get started. And Lauren, just so you know, I could not get this. It didn't do what I wanted to do for my watch party. Okay. Anybody else get the watch party to work? It's a work in progress. Anyway,
I shared it
okay.
to the WTF page. I'm not sure if it went through or not. I just kind of clicked and prayed.
Yeah, I just shared it from my page. I don't know if that's a watch party, but
Oh, well, maybe I'll just do it that way.
I think Facebook
Okay.
recently changed the language, and you can just click share.
Of course they did. All right, well, we're gonna go on anyway. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Easy count. 7 people now. We have one more person that's coming. But we're gonna go ahead and start with Torn for this week. I don't think anyone up here has ever done a Torn episode before. Oh, good. So y'all are like, oh God, what's going to happen? So the first question, the only one that I really kind of have planned that I ask you guys, you might want to write this down if you can. 4 things, and I'm gonna have everyone do it. Your name, your full name, where you're from originally, what you do in theater, and your nationality. So let us start with Laurel, because I asked Laurel questions.
Laurel Ullman. I was born in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm primarily an actor, but also a producer, director, and currently the literary manager person at Women's Theater Festival and on the board. And I believe my nationality is you mean like going back, like American, but British, French, German.
Okay.
Yeah.
American is whatever you want it to be. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay, I'm just gonna go across as it is on my screen. Ty, you're next.
Hi, first of all, thank you for having me. I am Ty Myatt. I am originally from Clayton, North Carolina, just moved to Raleigh like a month ago, so that's cool. I'm also mainly an actor, singer. I've been branching a little bit into directing as well. And my nationality is also American, but if we're branching further back, I got that Scandinavian blood in me.
Okay, thank you. Maxine.
Hey there. It's also my pleasure to be here. My name is Maxine Elwa. I was born in Maryland, but I've moved around a lot in my life and lived on both coasts, so I don't really have a full hometown. But in the theater, I'm primarily an actor. I also produce, collaborate, devise as well. And I'm Haitian. I'm first generation American. So I was born in the United States, but both my parents were born in Haiti. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, Brooke.
Hi, yeah, I'm Brooke North. I was born in San Francisco, but grew up, mostly in the South. I'm an American, and in the theater, I'm an actor, writer, producer, director. Now, just recently, a filmmaker. More or less in that order. A little bit of everything. I don't stage manage. Okay. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. Johanna, you are next.
Hi, I'm Johanna Maynard Edwards, and my son and puppy are right outside this door making noise. So I apologize in advance. I'll stay on mute as much as possible. I was born in Abington, Pennsylvania, right outside Philadelphia, and I grew up mainly here in eastern Wake County. and I currently live in Franklinton, or the unceded territory of the Tuscarora. I am the executive artistic director of the Women's Theater Festival, and theater things that I do include directing, acting, writing, designing, producing, devising, and being a fan. And I'm definitely just American. All of my ancestral roots go in lots of directions, too many to put into a brief intro.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Erin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Bell. Thankful to be here tonight. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally, and I've been in Durham, North Carolina for about 14 years. And I've done a lot of things in theater. I do stage management, lighting design, producing, and photography for any kind of performances. And I'm currently working as the director of marketing and operations for Women's Theater Festival. And my nationality is American, and further back, Ukrainian and Scots-Irish.
Okay, thank you. Natasha?
Natasha Jackson. I was born in Washington, D.C., raised in Maryland. In theater, I primarily do stage management, director, and nationality, Black American.
Okay, thank you. And Chase, you joined us. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you what you got to say. I'm sorry. I'm asking for name, where you from originally, what you do in theater, and your nationality.
Man, I'm my name is Chase Rivers. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am an actor. And you said my nationality?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Black. African American.
I'm sorry. I'm Black. Yes, yeah, y'all got to know Chase to understand that one. It has nothing to do with the Black part. It's just the way Chase said it. And Joanna, we don't mind the kids. The kids are kids. Come on now. What's new? If they tear the door down and get in, they can tear the door down and get in. Now, I asked you the question that I asked you because what I want Torn to be is about programming. I want us to see how in this country we're programmed. We've been programmed to think a certain way without actually digging into what our truth is. There are a lot of things in life we just accept because that's just the way it has been. That's just the way it was, and that's just the way it is. So I ask everyone this question when they first get on Torn. And for the first few weeks, I said no one gave a wrong answer, but I only asked you your nationality. Now, everybody, and usually it's the darker skinned people who nobody said African American, but usually it's the darker skinned people who put African in front of the American part. So American is all you really, like if I'm like this, American is really all anybody up here had to say. Nobody was born in another country. But then one of my nephews actually made me feel about this big because he let me know America is not a country. It's a continent. Now, if you look it up for the definition of nationality, it says region or country you're from. We don't have a name for our country to call ourselves. We are so bougie, and people are everywhere else in England and China, whatever. They've just been programmed to call us American. But if you're from Mexico, you're American. If you're from Canada, you're American, because America is a continent. It's not a country. We're United Statesians. But who has ever said that? And so the discussion, the talk tonight, and it's just a talk. I'm just moderating. I'm not leading. is about programming and why we accept some of the things that we accept. So it's dealing with racism in and out of the theater. We'll start out first. But it's also, I brought in some other things, especially with what's happened in 2020, what's been going on in 2020. And with that being said, the election. Let's start there. And everybody's gonna, sometimes I'll ask everybody questions, sometimes I'll be specific for a person. Brooke, I want to start with you. All I say is the election and go.
I mean, it's pretty good news, I think. I mean, we'll see. Hoping that things get back to, well, I don't know if normal is the right word, but I mean, it was, my reaction is that it was scary that it was that close. That like Donald Trump got more votes than any Republican candidate for president has ever gotten in the history of the United States. Thankfully, Biden got 7 million more, but that's a lot of people, and that's worrying. I think it shows there's a lot of. Well, I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. The election.
It's over. I'm not a huge politics person. I try not to get caught up in all of the back and forth that's going on. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's over.
Okay, interesting. Even though Trump says he hasn't lost and he's still fighting, you think it's over?
He says a lot of things. He has said a lot of things. Sometimes you just have to look at the source and decide how much energy you want to put into it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Joanna, the election.
I would say isn't over. I'm really hyper-focused on the runoffs in Georgia. And how important this is, and how if Democrats can get those 2 seats, that Mitch McConnell will no longer be the Senate Majority Leader, and then the Biden administration stands a fighting chance of pushing through legislation that's going to hopefully make the most difference in my life and the lives of lots of people that I care about. And so I'm hyper focused on the runoff election and all of the money that's going into that and different outcomes and information and misinformation.
Okay, thank you. All right, Maxine.
The election. Well, I'm also grateful that we've moved past some of the major contention within the system, but my main focus is actually on what needs to continue to happen and what needs to happen moving forward, and really dismantling the system and like capitalism in general. But my fear with having another Democrat in office is that people will become complacent and people will become just like, well, we're good now, when we've seen that half the people in our country are neighbors, the places that, we're lucky to, some of us live in bubbles, some of us don't. But, North Carolina didn't go blue this year. So people around us, our communities need change. Our communities need action. We are in the middle of a pandemic that is literally, we're watching our government just let us die. So that's terrifying to me. And so I am mostly interested in how I can plug in to my community, causes that I care about, because I will not stand idly by assuming that someone is going to take care of things that I know need to change.
Okay, thank you. Ty?
I think if anything, while I am pleased with the results of the election, I think if anything, it definitely goes to show how divisive or divided our country truly is, and how little people are really willing to push their cognitive dissonance when something that they don't agree with is thrust upon them. Because for Biden voters, we're happy, this is great, but just listening to some of the things that have been spewed out on the other side, false allegations, claims of voter fraud, threats of acts of violence. It really just it's unnerving to see, how unwilling people are to just people in general, not just any one specific group, just people in general are to branch out of their comfort zone and learn new things. And that's while I am still pleased with the results of the election, that is one thing that's been popping into my mind lately. It's kind of unsettling.
Yeah. Thank you. Erin?
Yeah, I mean, definitely happy that the votes went our way, no matter if Cheeto wants to admit it or not. But I do worry about him not going away, because he's insane. Like, he's insane. And obviously very powerful, and like has a lot of people behind him and around him. And so he could do, nothing would surprise. Well, every time I say that, he surprises me. So maybe I won't say nothing would surprise me. But yeah, I for a while was watching Bill Maher. He, never mind about my attitudes toward Bill Maher, but he's been saying for years that Cheeto would not leave. Years. He's been saying, like, when this term ends, he will not leave. And so, like, that's definitely haunting me now. I'm like, shit, he might really not leave. So yeah, I think we might still have some drama ahead of us. And like, even if he does leave, right? Like, he's going to go start some TV channel, or like, he's still going to be around. And he's just the pimple head of a whole thing. He's a symptom of a larger disease that's not going to go away even if he does. So, I mean, that's the deeper concern, but going to keep praying.
Okay, thank you. All right, Chase?
I would say it's funny because it's sad. Like, you know me, man. I can poke fun at pretty much anything and try to find laughter in anything. But with this election and leading up to it and even afterward, just hearing different things, I would laugh, and then I would just go, wait a minute, like this is our president, or like this is he represents this country. And then I would go into it like a place of just going, this is sad, man. Like why should I be able to laugh right now? Like, why is this funny? Like, we talk about who leads us. Like, it's not a laughing matter. So I've been having a whole lot of moments like that, man. I'm just praying for just a light at the end of the tunnel, because him saying he's not leaving is just something that I'm not taking lightly. So I don't know. That's like my main thing.
Okay. Thank you. And Laura?
Yeah. I'm not taking it lightly either with all the crap that he says, but I think I'm less worried about it as time goes on, and as more and more even Republican officials say this is over, and elected officials of all parties across the country fight back and say, no, this was the freest election we've ever had, the most secure, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Biden was not in my top 3 in the primary, but he's the lesser evil, and who doesn't want less evil? I think we all do. I actually hate it when people say, well, I don't want to pick the lesser of 2 evils. I'm like, so you just want evil to go unchecked? Like, make a choice. Like, less evil, better.
Exactly.
And we have, I feel like, if we seize the chance that we have, and like Johanna was saying, like, we throw our weight behind the runoffs, that we can try to help him not be a lame duck president, and we can, you know, push him to the left, and also not go back to normal, because normal wasn't good, but normal in the sense of I'm looking forward to just democratic norms being respected, because that's the framework of how we get things done. And if we don't respect the framework, then nothing gets done. So I guess I'm cautiously hopeful moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
I will say that I started working on one of the writing projects I'm kicking around is a sitcom idea called Not My President, where it's like the former president refuses to leave. So it's sort of like a Benson or a Silver Spoon, or not Silver Spoons, what's it? Spin City. Like Benson or Spin City, except that like the old president's like sleeping on the couch. He's got a tiny desk. He just makes his problems.
Look, in his case though, he wouldn't sleep on the couch. He wouldn't come out the bedroom. But something you said, Brooke, and something you said, Laura. Brooke, I'll ask you, because I think you said it and you were like, well, maybe not. But you said, hopefully we can get back to normal. What is normal?
Yeah, no, I think that I think similar to what Laurel said, I don't think that if we conceive of normal as the prior status quo, then it probably isn't necessarily desirable. I mean, it's tough because the same thing with what Laurel was saying about, the lesser of two evils. It's like, well, yes, returning to the status quo of, 4 years ago might actually be an achievement, considering the damage that's been done to national parks, to our trade relations, our relations with our allies, so many things. Returning to normal, status quo would be positive because where we are now is so far down. But no, I think hopefully that we aspire to more than just returning to a prior status quo, but actually improving on where we were before. I think, we're just gonna have to see.
Okay, thank you. Natasha, 2021. Do you see this big miraculous thing happening on January 1st, 2021? Or
what's the
well, I was gonna stop. You started. I was gonna stop. Or are we still gonna be pretty much in the same place we're in right now? Because so many people are. I just can't wait for 2020 to be over, and I'm like, it's going from a Saturday to a Sunday. What do you expect to happen? Do you see us a major move forward in 2021, even with a new commander in chief?
No.
Okay. Can you elaborate? Can you explain why?
Look at, how much has changed from the 50s, from the 60s, so no, it was going to take a whole lot more than voting in a new president to see some miraculous change. I think that some people have just gotten so caught up in the rhetoric of what's going on that they have let it impact them emotionally and mentally, emotionally, let it impact them that they're just like, oh, this has got to be over. So the first is going to be something brand new. But reality is, from my perspective, it's not going to change.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Joanna, same thing. What are your thoughts of this big light at the end of the 2020 tunnel called 2021?
Well, I'll start by sharing that I'm an immune compromised person. So I haven't been in public since the first week of March. I'm not allowed to go to stores. I'm not allowed to pump my own gas. My kid can't go to school. My husband's been unemployed since the second week of March. So in terms of like on a professional level, like all of me wants to push against the notion of back to normal. Like, no, normal was bad. We need to rebuild systems. We need to do all this. But yeah, I want to do one normal thing. I want to go get my own groceries. I want to pick up my own freaking mental health prescriptions. I want to go to my doctor's office without fear of dying. I want to, I want to do life things again for sure. And no, I don't, because of my situation, I have to kind of stay aware and read as much as I can. And no, my opinion is not that anything is going to change anytime soon. That just the way math works, it's going to take a really long time to get enough people vaccinated for any type of business as usual activities to happen. And I'm just hoping by this time next year, we can do normal things, or at least I can do normal things. I think there's gonna be lots of people who get to do them before I do. Lots of people are. I live in Franklin County. On one of the Franklin County community Facebook groups, there was a whole thread today about how the town of Youngsville's having their parade, and just like 200 vitriolic comments about it's our choice and it's your choice. If you don't want to go out there, you don't have to. But it's that type of framework of choice is emblematic of the problem, because my community chooses to do these things that are not safe. I can't do things that are only a little bit not safe because of the elevated risk. So that's like what I'm dealing with, and just thinking about everyone who, like me, is going to get left behind as other people are like, yes, I'm going back to do normal things because it's safe. And then I'm like, hey, but it's not safe for me. Can't you wait till I can do them too?
Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you, are you planning to get with your immune system, are you planning to get the vaccine?
I'm planning to listen to what my care team says, because with vaccines, it can really depend. Like sometimes if a vaccine is a shedding vaccine, people like me should not be near it because it could, get them sick. But I'm just going to keep listening to the best wisdom of the people that I've trusted with my medical care, and I'll do what they tell me to do.
Okay. Thank you. Really, thank you a lot for sharing that. I never even thought about people whose immune system is like that fragile. And you can't go out at all. But speaking of what you and Natasha said, Ty, so the governor takes us from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. And for some reason, people think just because he said a phase, that it's okay to just go out and whatever. You and Maxine are the younger generation up here on this panel. I don't mean to call anybody else older, but hey, I'm old, so get over it. When you heard the different phases, what did it make you want to be out? Is he frozen? Todd? Okay, he was frozen. Todd, did you hear anything I just said? Ty is frozen a lot. Okay. Well, Erin, I'm gonna ask you that question because I was gonna bring it to you as well. So these different, these different phases that he put us in, did that make you want to run out and start doing
I'm back.
things?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute.
Okay.
He's back. Yes.
Cool.
Go ahead. You're gonna answer. Go ahead.
I didn't interrupt anybody, did I, by popping back in?
No, we hadn't started. The next
Okay.
person hadn't started.
Okay, gotcha. I think for me, the biggest thing that I was looking out for was how the general public was going to react to it. Because me, I work in a restaurant. I wait tables. That's how I pay my bills. And looking at everything going from phase to phase, for me was more just a matter of, am I going to have to put myself in danger, go back and work to be able to, sustain my life. And up until this point, like, yes, it has had to be something that I've had to keep putting myself back out there. And it's truly, and I live in I work in a county that for the most part does not like Governor Cooper. And so it's really shocking to hear some of the justifications and some of the rationalizations that people have to just try to keep going back. It's like, we're just going to live exactly how we did before without doing anything. Like, I've had customers walk in, no masks, kids coughing up a storm. I've had somebody drunk at the bar tell me to take my mask off for no reason. Wasn't even my customer. Just tell me, he's like, it's a hoax. You're going to get yourself sick if you wear that mask. And I'm sitting here like, all right, first of all, I'm keeping it on. Second of all, legally, I'm not allowed to take it off. Third of all, if it's a choice to wear your mask, why are you trying to? Anyway, it's a whole big thing. But seeing the phases really just kind of not intimidated me, but got me thinking about, okay, how is this going to be taken advantage of? How is this going to be worked around and loopholed and whatever to make it like we're back to normal, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Erin, I'm coming to you now, but it's going to be a different thing. I'm still on my whole presidential thing. I'm going to get around to other stuff. But Erin, why do you think we are a blue governor state but a red presidential state?
That is a good question. Maybe people who are less engaged, informed about politics are like, but the governor was on the presidential ticket. They're like that. It was the same election. Because I was going to say, like, oh, maybe people who vote for president don't necessarily vote for governor, but like they were both on there in November. So that is a good question. We need like Nate Silver up in here to answer that one. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like I live in Durham, but I'm like on the border. I'm like as close to Hillsborough as I am to Durham. So I'm like I'm west of downtown, and I'm in a shop in Orange County. So like I get the more rural vibe out there, and then I go into Durham, and it's all like, increasingly hipster, and it's always been, a super educated county because of the universities there. And so, yeah, North Carolina is just very unique in that way that we have these kind of like very separate sides just existing adjacent to one another.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Rivers, do you think now that we've changed commanders in chief? Okay. Anyway, I don't know whether the S goes on commander or chief. Anyway, do you think God, I hate to say it like this because it's really going to sound opinionated, but I don't care. You think the racists are going to go back in hiding again? And why?
That's a great. I don't know. I mean, to me, like that's one of the things that I could say that Donald Trump positively affected my life was to bring them out of the shadows, because my friend had a little cousin who's 20, 21 now. So he was like not quite old enough to vote, but he didn't believe racism existed before Trump. And it was like a shock to me because I'm like, you live in Henderson, like it's it's bad out there. And he's like, it never affected me, like, so I don't see it. And when Trump got elected, it was like all of a sudden everywhere. So it was like oh snap. It's a realization for him to go, all right, yeah, okay. Even though I didn't see it, here it is. But after this election, I think they are out now. Like I don't think they're going back. I really don't. I don't see it happening, but I still don't know. But I don't see it happening.
Okay. Something Natasha said earlier, and I'm not sure if everybody was aware of what she's talking about. And I'm thinking I know what she was talking about, but she mentioned the 50s and the 60s to now, and where we've come and where we haven't come. And what we saw in the last 4 years just seemed like it was the continuation of the 50s and the 60s. So, Laurel, with what he just said, that he doesn't think that they're going to go back in. And I know this is kind of his opinion, but what with the 50s and the 60s when they went in, why wouldn't they just do the same thing again? Do you agree with him? Let me ask that first. Do you think that they'll stay out, or do you think they'll go back in?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
I think that racism is so entrenched in this country that we keep trying to crush it and make it go away, and it just changes form, and then we have to find that new form of it. And so I think that Trump has emboldened so many people to say things out loud that they've always thought, and they felt like it was okay to say those things, while out the other side of their mouth saying, but that doesn't make me racist, even though, so I don't think that's going away, just like Trump's not going away. I think that attitude, that nationalist attitude, white nationalist attitude, is not going away. But if we do see some of those democratic norms start to come back, I think that with whatever moral authority that Democrats have, hopefully our politicians will listen to the fact that Americans made a choice. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think it's both. I think the outright racists are here to stay, and then other Republicans who have become embarrassed or finally said enough is enough with Trump, who are finally pushing back against him, might try to sort of go back in the closet and now that he's less in vogue, somewhat less in vogue, and try to go back to being more moderate. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it's I think it's ebb and flow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I try not to give my opinion much, but I'm gonna give it right now. I tend to think that we're going back to the early 70s when they went underground for a period of time. I really do. I think it's what's going to happen next year, because they are the difference between now, the past 4 years, and the 50s and 60s is what we're doing right now. And we have social media, and people are losing their jobs behind it. And they're not happy with that. And instead of and that's the funny thing, instead of taking responsibility for the loss of a job, they still turn around and put the blame on liberals for turning them in, or for putting them out there. And it's like, you lost your job and you still don't see where you went wrong. It's brings me to the next thing. There is, and I'm trying to pull it up while I'm talking to you guys. Have you guys seen, why is my mouse not working? Have you guys seen a recent commercial from Hershey's? You turn your mic on, Maxine. Because Maxine was the one I was going to ask.
I was just like wiggling and squirming, and I was like, before we move on, I just had a couple, just really quickly, I'm kind of mulling over. I think we're all kind of wondering about these things right now. And one of the things that I was picking up on was that there's a lot of othering, and I still think there's a lot of anti-racism work that needs to happen within the liberal community. I think theater, art, media, education, all of those things are still very whitewashed and very much need to change. And I think it's very easy to say, well, hopefully those other people will just go get on out of here and just be quiet. But I fear that quiet as well. And I fear the fact that, well, if they're quiet, then what about the hate crimes that may happen in silence because people have decided that it's not really, it couldn't possibly be that the racism is over, we've moved on, the races are in a closet somewhere. These are like real fears, that I have, that a lot of people of color have, about what happens when it becomes uninteresting for folks who we need to continue to be allies, who we need to continue to stand up. I had someone mention to me the other day, well, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to deal with those people anymore. And I was like, wait, if you're not going to deal with them, like they were a Caucasian American. And I was like, so who is? Who is going to talk to these people who everyone wants to pretend don't still exist and can't change? I do believe there is possibility for change within some of these very, maybe hateful people who their hate comes out of a lack of understanding and empathy. And it's not really, it's illogical, right? It's illogical to feel the way that these people feel. And so we also need to treat them with empathy and understanding and try to find ways like these dialogues where we don't kumbaya the whole thing and like hopefully everything's better. Like we really still need to be challenging people within our own communities about what they're thinking now. People have become, like I said, like bored. We've seen the interest go down within the BLM movement. And it's not gone down within me, And so all of these things I just wanted to throw out there because I feel what everyone's saying. And I do believe there will be people who go back, but I'm also afraid of people who are building resentment right now who are going to see them that quietly.
Maxine, because I got like 2 and 3 screens going, everybody up here, if you feel like saying something, turn your mic on and say something and interrupt me from whatever I'm doing. I don't have a problem with that. This is a discussion. I told y'all that. I'm not the one that's going to sit up here and talk the whole time. If you got something to say, you turn your mic on and you start talking. Okay, so, and before I do what I was going to do, Natasha, I have been told that I needed to stop doing Torn because it's been going on too long and it's over. And I was told this by some theater people. Keep my mouth shut on who, but I've been told that.
No, you need to tell us.
Oh, Laurel, you, especially not you or Ty. I'm not telling either one of y'all.
I'm texting you.
Oh God, no. So Natasha, what would your response be to that statement?
I would like to know why they have that thought process that it needs to stop, because at what point has racism stopped? So if they want it to stop, what is the rationale behind it? And most in general, I think that we see when people want things like that to stop, it's because it's making them uncomfortable. But I think intellectually we know that things that are uncomfortable is because the change, and people don't want to take personal responsibility. They don't want to look in the mirror to self-inventory as to why they're so uncomfortable about these things that we as people of color have been dealing with our entire lives, our ancestors, etc.
And I was also told, I ain't calling on Laurel because no, she's ready. Erin, I was also told that I probably would not be able to do theater anymore if I kept doing these shows. What would your response be, Erin, to that?
Oh man, that is sad and disturbing. Geez. Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, and I've heard this from I've experienced this myself as well. Some of the people in leadership, in any industry, but in ours as well, in theater, are, not good people, and like don't have good motives, aren't operating from a place of love or a place of the right priorities. And it's really disconcerting because they do have a lot of power, and they can crush and they can lash out and they can spread rumors and they can. So it's hopefully, I think we're weeding them out. I feel like we've weeded a couple of them out.
Well, you know what's funny with what you just said? It's actually not people in a leadership position.
That is very interesting. Everyone's aware of the whole thing with Triad Stage. I know that's not in the triangle per se, but there are these allegations against Preston Lane. He's resigned. Triad Stage has said literally nothing about the situation. There's toxic.
These things
There's toxic leaders and non-leaders in every art form and in everyone. And to Maxine's point too, there's plenty of racist liberals, plenty. And you're right, they're not others, they're within us, and we need to continue to examine our own behavior so that we don't become toxic. But theater people are not all like butterflies and flowers.
Right.
I'm sorry
Maxine,
you've had that experience.
Oh, I'm used to it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's heartbreaking to hear, but like also not surprising. I remember I did this article. It was just like a couple years ago. I had a film that was in a festival, and this college kid was like, "Hey, I'm doing an article about female filmmakers," because it was in this all-female festival. And I, of course, get to talking about the patriarchy and dismantling all these things. And my dad was like, "Honey, are you sure you want to say those things like in the press, like publicly?" And my father's very open-minded. He's all gung-ho for it, but he's just protective of me, right? He's just like, "Honey, I'm afraid for you. What if somebody doesn't want to hire you because you said this? Or what if somebody doesn't want to work with you because of that?" And it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking because you want to stand up for what you believe in, and you want to believe that other people have your back, and we're supposed to make art that says something, right? Like, and yet we're not supposed to say anything at the same time. It's just really interesting that you said that one, because like I really was like, wow, someone told you to stop this conversation that literally needs to never stop. Like, yeah.
And adding on to that too, it's when you really get down to it, a large function of art, whether it be theater, film, anything related, music, a large function of that over the past however many years has been to call out injustice in any form. And there have been some eye-opening examples of that. We have how many plays and musicals about racism, about sexism and things like that. And it's just really shocking to hear people make claims like that when this is a platform for calling out injustice. So,
well, the reasoning for that one, Ty, is from something I was told which is one of the reasons why we are all up here, why there have been 17 weeks of this, is because, and they didn't say this in these words, but basically we're one-dimensional. We're on the stage, and when we leave the stage, whatever we did on the stage is a fantasy. So all the plays that we do that deal with racism have a happy ending. So it's fine to do it there, but when we come off the stage, we're back into reality. So I should not be doing this. I need to keep my place. But I know there's one person up here that put me in I was in 3 of her plays over one weekend. So it hasn't stopped. That's the big thing. And also, when we first started, they were contacting Lauren and telling her she needs to stop me, which takes me back to the 1900s, the mid and early 1900s, where, okay, in order to stop this black person, we need to find the white person in charge, and they will stop them for us. And so there were people who made fake Instagram accounts to tell her that we shouldn't be having this conversation because I'm not a professional. I don't have a degree in this, so I should not be speaking on this because I don't know what I'm talking about.
That is such bullshit.
And apparently they don't know Lauren very well, because that just made her, y'all all laughing, but yeah, that just made her even more mad, because I was literally like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll stop. And she was like, excuse me, I'm sorry, what? I was like, oh, okay. But I want to show y'all something, and it got me on Facebook, and yeah, share screen. Let me see what it's going to do. Which one I want to share? This one. Share audio. Okay. Can y'all see the Hershey Kisses on the screen?
Mm-mm.
Y'all don't see it? Oh, be careful sharing.
I'm looking at one Hershey Kiss on this screen. It's your head. That's the only Hershey Kiss.
I never really liked him. But Lauren, you have to share it, I guess. It says I'm sharing though. It says it's sharing my screen. Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
okay,
there it is.
There it is.
Is that the one I want you to show? Yeah.
Is this the one everyone's losing their damn minds over?
Yeah, go back and see if you can do the sound, Lauren. I don't think you shared the sound. I don't hear it.
Wow.
Can you figure out the sound? She can't figure out the sound thing.
You know,
nevertheless, in the middle, you saw enough of it.
Yeah.
So what happens is the the commercial that's been on for 31 years, and in the middle of it, the little girl grabs one of the Hershey's Kisses before the Hershey's can finish their little thing, and she grabs it and she eats it. And she's in the kitchen with her dad making cookies. So there was a big backlash to Hershey about it, and there were comments that was said like they're just trying to appease a certain people. Yeah, it's all over YouTube, and so am I, because I was letting folk have it. They're trying to appease a certain people, or this is the race baiting thing. And I asked, would you have been this upset if it was? First of all, it's a Hershey Kiss commercial. That's the first thing. Let's just go. But I was in that mood 2 days ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get some stuff started. But would you have done this if it was a white person? But it's all about appeasing us. I'm not going to say why, but Hershey's is clearly not trying to get canceled. So in other words, if they don't put us on, we might boycott, and they might lose their whatever funding, or they might, or I saw we should make our own commercial. Or it's tradition. Why are you messing with tradition? It's not your tradition. All this is said now. So
never read the comments. Never read the comments.
I was preparing myself. I was preparing myself mentally because I wanted to show it to you guys.
Very interesting. I actually had never watched it. All I had seen was a Facebook friend posted something about how she thought it was stupid that people were upset, and then all these people were weighing in. And somebody said, oh, it really pisses me off. And then a bunch of us hopped on and were like, why? What's your problem? But I didn't even really know what I was defending, to be honest. I was just like, you shouldn't be so obsessed with a stupid commercial. But it makes so much sense now.
Well, and one woman literally said, come on, Ty, I want you to be here to hear this. One woman literally said, I'm gonna try to give him a few seconds. Okay, I can't wait. That okay, good. One woman said it's fitting. Y'all, we having the hardest time with Ty. Y'all, let's uplift him. Let's uplift him.
Listen, I always got to steal the center of attention somehow.
I see. So you figured you just jump off and jump back on. That would do it. Wow.
It's my Wi-Fi, I promise.
So one woman literally said, well, it's fitting because look what color the hand is that steals the Hershey kiss. Yeah. So I'm saying that to you guys, but I'm saying that for the benefit of those who are watching who've told me that I needed to stop. Because it's a Hershey's Kiss commercial. Really? 31 years. And the thing is, they're still running both of them. And if you really want to look at it, go to YouTube. You can see the old one, the new one, the in-between one if you want to. Make your own. Anyway, let's go to theater. I don't have a good way to segue into that. Let's just be on theater now. Okay. Maxine, have you just straight out with it, right? No chaser. Have you ever experienced racism in theater?
Yeah.
Elaborate on it a little bit. Give us an example. Give us a time.
Where do I begin? Well, this is really interesting because I had to kind of go back in my head before I exactly knew what racism was, like I experienced a lot of like microaggression that, like, obviously that's part of racism.
Stop. Something you just said before you even continue. How old were you when you realized what racism was?
That's a great question. I don't know. Maybe I was probably pretty old. I was probably maybe 11.
And you think that's old? Okay. So an 11-year-old child, it has to. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. Well, because that's when I was called Oreo in 6th grade. Because I was black on the outside, white on the inside, which means nothing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. But it's what people who were liberals would call me because they didn't know what to do with me. I did not fit the mode of what they thought the media was a black person, I guess.
What was the white on the inside part? What did you do?
I guess the way that I acted or was acting to them. Which is erasure. But apparently to them, most of their experience was like television and media, especially in the 90s, early 2000s. Like there was definitely like an aesthetic for like, what was being put out there and not fitting, quote unquote, to their eyes, that aesthetic, then I was this thing, which, that was like early. That was probably when I first heard that and was just like, what are you talking about? I was just very confused, like talked to my sister about it and was like, what is going on? That was weird. And I would say probably right around 13 was when I did my first show. And I think throughout my theater work, I always had a hard time getting cast for things because of favoritism and maybe other things that may or may not have had to do with my skin color, but there were definitely things that I experienced in high school that felt like it was, well, why not me in that opportunity? And I had a hard time finding a justification that was not like your skin color. So yeah, and then I went to college. I got my BFA in acting at Boston University, and I went to a 4-year college and never had a Black teacher in an acting conservatory. So there's like literally so much to unpack in my experience. There were only 2 other Black people in my acting major, and that absolutely affected, as much as they don't want to say, that absolutely affected casting. It absolutely did. If there was a show that had a Black character or whatever every few years, then we were all fighting for that. Or if there was a period piece, then lucky you if you get a chance to play this role. Like, there was so many things that were kind of circumvented, not talked about, not dealt with, that I experienced that looking back on, I'm just like, man, I wish I could have been able to talk about this. I wish I would have been able to recognize it for what it was at the time. So I was able to process it a little bit better. But yeah, sorry, that was kind of like a large overview and kind of vague, but I don't want to be like calling people out.
Sounds like you needed to get it out. That's what it sounds like. True. Yeah. Ty, have you ever experienced, not necessarily towards yourself, have you ever experienced racism in theater?
I have actually seen a couple incidents, and the one that speaks out, the one that rings out most of my memory is I was auditioning for a, this was an original movie. Am I gone? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Keep going before you go out.
Okay. I just heard, okay. So I was auditioning for this original musical out in Durham that they were going to produce in Burlington. It was called Wrecking Ball. Ultimately, I was not able to be a part of the show, but I remember at callbacks, it was the production team were all Black. They were all people of color, and most of the people called back and ultimately cast also were. I was in the room and during callbacks, and there was this one older gentleman, this one white gentleman, who was trying to argue with the music director about something with the music, because I guess he had perfect pitch and music reading ability, whatever. But he was arguing with the music director about what you're singing isn't what's on the page. And I'm sitting here like, dude, this she helped write this, and you're arguing with her about this. Like, maybe you could argue that maybe it wasn't a race issue, but it kind of looked like he was trying to. It kind of looked like he came from that position of privilege and entitlement to argue his point when ultimately he got shut up. He was just like, let me direct. And he just like, was like, okay. I was like, all right, yes, put him in his place. But that's the one that speaks out to me most.
Okay, thank you. But basically what you're saying is he was used to being able to just open his mouth and say what he wanted anytime he wanted, and it was acceptable.
Exactly.
Interesting. What did I want to add? Natasha, Maxine said something. And this is theater, but it's not theater. It's life as well. Have you ever, she didn't say these words exactly, but have you ever been in a situation where you had to second guess your Blackness? And I can elaborate if you're not sure what I mean.
No, I can't even imagine me having
Okay.
second guess.
When I say that, if you're probably thinking differently than what I'm thinking.
Okay.
She said she didn't get something, and she wondered if it was because of her skin color. Have you ever had a situation where you wondered that, in or out of theater?
Okay.
Maybe you didn't get a stage managing position or something of that nature. And
Okay. So to me, that's not necessarily questioning my Blackness, but to me, have I not gotten a job and felt like it was because of my race or because of my looks or because of my gender, what have you? Yes, I've totally felt that way. In theater, because I do stage manage and I don't act. That's totally not my lane. Um, no, I haven't experienced that aspect in theater. Now, I can tell you from a stage manager perspective and sitting in on casting and hearing the discussions when certain people are chosen over others. And yes, that definitely, racism definitely has played a role in a couple of productions that I have worked.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Chase. You are being directed by an older white gentleman. Thank you, Joanna. An older white gentleman, and he tells you you are not acting Black enough. What is your response?
Was Black enough?
Hmm.
I would want for him to elaborate. I have been told from a younger white gentleman to portray a thug. And I in turn asked him, what is a thug? And he couldn't answer the question. He just went, you know. No, I don't. What is it? What are you asking of me? I don't understand your direction. So can you explain it? And he couldn't. I was asking him, what am I to wear? Like, I was showing up, I was supposed to bring my own stuff, and I'm like, what do you want me to wear? He was like, what, just wear what a thug would wear. And I was like, I got a cousin that's a thug, if in the term you're thinking about, and he wears a suit. He doesn't wear the baggy pants and stuff. He's more along the lines of Ghost from Power. He doesn't carry himself that way. And I was like, what is it? Like, what clothes do you want me to wear? How do you want me to act? Like, what is it? Like, you do it. You show me. And he couldn't do it. And it ended super awkward. And after that night, I never showed back up. Like, it was just I'm not doing this. Like, he couldn't explain his own direction. So I'm not going to do it for him. So I would want them to explain. If they can articulate it in a way that I can understand, then I would then correct them and say, well, you're incorrect on what you think a thug is or what you think a Black person is. Because that's why I assume Maxine was probably called what is it?
Oreo.
Oreo. Oreo. I can assume why. Because they have this assumption of what a Black person is and how a Black person carries themselves, when that's not the case. So I would ask for just more detail, and then I would, if I feel the detail is wrong, which I'm 100% sure I probably am, I'm going to correct them.
Okay. I'm sorry, I had to turn on something. Rowan asked couldn't or wouldn't, and I'm trying to think what the couldn't or wouldn't is about. I'm looking at Facebook, y'all. Okay.
I know her. I know what she meant. What she's.
Okay.
We sure not your brain. That what Chase was saying about the director couldn't demonstrate. Maybe Roman point that he wouldn't, because he caught himself realizing, oh, that's a racist thing I just did. We better.
That's correct. That's correct. He wouldn't.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I would say most POC actors have found themselves in an audition at one point in time, or will find themselves where they are told that they need to act whatever their quote unquote ethnicity is, whether Asian, Hispanic, Black. Like I would be surprised if it wasn't like 80% of folks probably have experienced one instance where they were told a direction that, again, like, just, it's not anything you can work with. Like, what does that mean? And like, please dissect it for me, because I don't understand. Because I am Black, so if I'm not acting Black, like, it doesn't make any sense, you know.
Like Black has a specific way of acting. Oh, interesting. Laurel, so back when George Floyd first happened, theaters put out statements about it. How many of them were you able to read?
I mean, I think I read a lot of the one. I follow a lot of local theaters on Facebook. So when they were shared there, I read them there. Women's Theater Festival worked for a long time on a statement. I mean, do you want like a reaction
yeah, I was
to the
going. Well, I was going
statements
to
or
ask
just-
about that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Since you said it, yes. What were your reaction to this? What was your reactions to the statements that were put out?
Well, I think they're both necessary and also can never be adequate, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Especially if they're just words and they're not nothing behind the scenes is going to change. So I do think you have to put your intention out into the world before you can try to do anything about it. And it also maybe helps with accountability. Say, okay, you said you were going to do these specific things. So are you actually doing them? But
well, and I'm gonna stop you right there because I'm gonna go to somebody else off of what you're saying. So Brooke, she just said you can make the statements, but are you actually doing anything? At this time, with what we have going on, what do you think theaters could do to show their support for myself, Natasha, Chase, and Maxine, and with what happened with George Floyd, and now 17 weeks in, now theaters are realizing that there is racism inside theater. What is it that you think they could do now to make that change during this COVID time?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's I produce theater occasionally. I have a small theater company that is just literally me and John Honeycutt. And I didn't put a statement out because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if it was my place. I can say as a white theater maker and occasional producer, I'm trying to listen. I'm trying not to talk. I'm trying not to assume that I know what the answers are, because I don't know. And I also am trying not to I thought like, well, should I say something? I'm like, I don't know what's appropriate to say. I don't know what's helpful to say. Like, of course we're like I think, I support Black Lives Matter and but it's like literally, like I read, like, I don't know. I like, much like Laurel, we follow this, I'm sure, the same theaters. And I read like the same statement, 10 times, whatever. And it's like, is me doing that? Like, is that actually serving anything? Is that actually changing anything? Like, nobody really, I mean, very few people follow me on Facebook in the first place, but like, am I supporting someone, or am I doing this for myself? Like as a marketing, like just to show I'm the right kind of person or something like that. I mean, I try, so it's like, and what can theaters do going forward? Like, I don't know. I mean, I would say the number one thing for me is reading a lot more plays by people of color. I mean, that's the number one thing that I've been doing. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'll ever produce another play. I kind of hope so, but like my company produces like one play a year in December. that hasn't happened for obvious reasons, or in January, and usually first couple weeks of January. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have any health issues, but my father does. So I'm not doing anything, and haven't been for a while. So that's mainly what I've been doing is trying to read more and just trying to listen more, and try not to take up too much space, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's the opportunity, is that nothing is good. Well, I mean, stuff is going on. Theater can still happen, but it's not. If it's not happening for you right now, we all have downtime. Great time to be reading books. Great time to be watching documentaries. Like, not even about theater, just like personally like as a white person, like I think my fellow white people, I think we should be educating ourselves, just like in general, because like I fancy myself a woke liberal, and shit, if I haven't learned like I still have a lot to learn, and I've learned a lot over the past, like when Trump got elected, and I realized like half the country was still like violently racist, like, silver linings, right? It's been a reality check. It's reminded us, that racism isn't over at all, at all. So, and one thing, so sorry, my head's going a lot of places. So Meg Stein, she's a local sculptor and performance artist. She does this thing. She's been doing it for years. It's called Dirty White Matter. And it's for white people to like get together and educate themselves. She is still doing it online. It's once a month. So that's a great way, like locally, to get engaged. And then, for just a reading list, right? Like I heard that How to Be Anti-Racist was like sold out on Amazon. Like my buddy who works at Cisco said that he was leading like a reading group with his managers, of like him and his white managers are like reading How to Be Anti-Racist. So it's like stuff like that I feel like doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with theater, that I feel like we can be using this downtime to all come out of this like a little more, smart about it. Cause and another thing, like we were talking earlier about othering. So one thing that Meg taught me that I found very helpful, because I came in there talking about like, oh yeah, white racist people that, and white racist people this. And she's like, say we. Like when you say white people, say we, which for me was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like I am, like I'm white. We are racist. Like that's like, you gotta like own that you're a part of that. And that just by, at least in my case, like just by being raised white in a white supremacist country, you internalize that stuff. Like it's in you in ways you don't even know. And like the process of getting it out is like, it's a lifelong process for sure.
Like when I started, but you know what? And I'm not going to say I'm speaking for Natasha, Chase, or Maxine, but one thing I haven't heard in speaking about this, and you guys were like, we need, and I, again, this is not finger pointing. You said we need to read more. We need to stuff like that, to find out. And Brooke, you were honest. You were like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to take up much space. Well, you know what? I want you to take up space. That's why we're here. I want you to take, and the reason why I asked you guys that question, I asked that question was asked last week, and a comment was made that, well, the theaters can't do much right now because of COVID and they're not open. But I'm here. And I've been doing this every week for 17 weeks. Well, the last 2 months, every other week. So I'm not going with they can't do anything. Because we're doing virtual plays now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Something can be done. And then the other thing, Brooke, you were wondering what to do. And this is part of that programming, and that Erin was kind of talking about, and what Erin was talking about, and I talked about earlier. Did you ask a Black person what did they think you should do? That's rhetorical. It's rhetorical, but it doesn't happen. And I think what again, I'm not necessarily speaking for the other three, but I think what we want is you with us, not you in front of us. We don't want you to do it for us. We want you to be with us when it's done and ask us, what should we do? And I tell every theater, if you are making bylaws about diversity and there's nobody that is diverse when you're making them, now if you're making bylaws about your theater, you say, okay, whatever. But if you're doing something about diversity and everybody up there is white, no, you don't know what I experience when I leave. And I had a conversation with Erin earlier. You don't, and it wasn't, again, not a finger pointing session. It's just a general conversation. But I was telling her about what I experience when I get in my car and I triple check to make sure I have my wallet.
Yeah.
Because if I get in my car, and I'm driving and they stop me and I say, my name is Juan, that's already there. That's going to confuse the hell out of them already right there. So and I don't have my license. You know, I'm going to, your name is what? No, your name can't be. And I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Now, once I get there, we may figure out that, okay, I'm telling the truth and I left my license at home and I do have a valid license, but I'm going to jail. So I have to triple check. I'm hitting my behind like this, triple checking to make sure it's with me. That doesn't really have to happen to you guys. And one of the things that I hear that sometimes bothers me is you have people who aren't of other ethnic backgrounds, but they have, and I'm trying to put this nice, and Laura, I don't know why, I should just be honest. Laura, can you hear us? Laura's just having issues, y'all. Hey, anyway, I don't know what's going on with her, but we're going to, anyway. But people who I'll say their preferences are different. They feel like they experience the same thing that a black person does. That's not true. Because if you walk into a building and you're white, no one looks at you unless you're just flamboyant with it and knows your sexual preference. But no matter how many different ways I walk in a building, this is still going to be there. And there is a comparison, but it's not the same. It is just not, it is not the same. I could walk in a department store with a suit and Brooke walk in that same department store with what he has on now. And they're going to follow me and leave him alone. That, back to that Hershey's thing that I was showing.
Can I say something really
quickly?
Oh,
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Backing off of what you were saying, because I very much connect and feel with that, because what I was hearing was well, I'm me, colonizer, will do things that will eventually trickle down into the greater society of what my knowledge will eventually go out there because I've educated myself. But again, like you were saying, like, where's that community? Where's that connection? No one was like, hey, you're literally like, you're reading Black plays or plays with people of color. Why not ask a person of color, what play do you think I should read? What's the role you've always wanted to play? Hey, I'm thinking about doing a show possibly at some point in the future. Would you be interested in talking to me about this issue, that thing? Like, I'm in this show where we have a trans actor that we just added to our series, and we were like, well, we need you in the writing room now because we want your voice, we want your narrative. So like, how can we build those bridges? Because again, it's about building empathy, right? And connecting and not making it just like an I, me problem. It's a societal problem. It's a systemic issue. So we need to cut like a cancer, and you have to attack it from all sides, and we need to do it like unified, and that's exactly it. Like how many how left out, I'll speak for myself, how left out I feel of all these dialogues of theater companies that I am a part of. No one asked me about anything, about my thoughts, feelings, concerns, about what they could say in their statement, about what they could do moving forward to make me feel less, whatever, when I'm in a room with them. And are there things that could change? Nobody asked me that. Like, nobody asked or reached out. And I'm sure that there's a lot of education and literature out there, but there's also folks, like real people, real conversations you could have with people that you probably care about, and you get to hear their perspective, So yeah, I'm just piggybacking and just saying exactly what you're saying, Juan.
And Brooke, I want you to understand. Go ahead. I was going. Yeah,
I agree with everything that's been said, and I mean, I will say that, like, I didn't go to people of color, Black people that I knew, and say, what should I do? Largely because largely because I didn't want to put the burden on them, right? Like, this is my problem to solve, or this is my issue as much as it is theirs. And I guess that my feeling was I didn't want to give my friends the emotional labor of, well, you're Black, tell me how to fix what I need to do to be nice. Like, maybe that's my job to figure that out, like, absolutely, like, reading and like, Erin, like what you said, like, I mean, yeah, I went and got How Not to Be Racist. I got, White Fragility. I've read those, and like, and obviously, like going to my, like, saying, okay, I have a lot of plays on my shelf. Not many of them are written by people of color. Like, I got a few, but not a lot. So I'm like, I should change that. So I started changing my reading portfolio and stuff like that. Absolutely. But yeah, to your point, like, no, I didn't reach out to someone specifically because I didn't want to say, hey, friend, like, why don't you like solve this? But I loved what you said, Maxine, about what role would you really like to play? That's a really nice, that's a smart way of asking that question and engaging in that dialogue without, like, feeling like I'm putting the burden on someone else to tell me how not to be racist, rather than me taking that burden on myself, right? But yeah, absolutely. I agree with like everything that all three of you said, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, and you know what's funny, and this is part of in the cases that I'm speaking of, because most of the artistic directors and theater heads are used to having to do for everyone, and so it's not the thing of where I'm getting upset, but it's funny, something you just said. You said, I don't want to burden them. Trust me. And on this one, I will speak for the other three up here. My burdens are a lot heavier than you asking me, what do I think you should do? And how can you help? My burdens are a lot heavier. In fact, I want you to do that. Alexis Rohn, I don't know if y'all know Alexis. She's a fellow director, and yeah, Johanna, I know you do. Alexis, she put her hand on her heart, and she's saying basically what I'm saying. We want you to ask that because we want the support. Dr. King, one thing he said was, silence is, oh Lord, I forgot the saying. Tasha, silence is something. Anyway, he was saying that if you're silent, that's just as bad as the racist. Because, and now y'all know when I get off here, I'm gonna go back and get my saying. But being silent is just as bad. I personally, when this happened, I needed my theater family. I hadn't seen them since March. I hadn't seen them since March. And the one thing I felt like I would be able to count on was my theater family. And with the statements I saw, they weren't there. They weren't there. And you guys said it. I didn't have to say it. You guys said it. You saw 10 statements and they all looked alike. It starts with the theater company's name, supports Black Lives Matter, maybe a little something else in that sentence. And in some cases, they talk about a previous show that they did that dealt with what we were dealing with George Floyd at the time. Really? That wasn't it for me. Obviously, I know what theater company it is. I'm looking at your page. I didn't need to know your name. That seemed more political to me than anything else. What I needed to hear was, you're there for me and you will help me any way you can. And that's what we still need to hear. Because like Natasha said, this isn't ending with Biden getting into office. Yeah, you got Kamala on your side, and we know she got hot sauce in her bag. Okay, good. But this isn't, it's not ending. And it's definitely not ending. Well, I'm trying. It's not ending in theater. And it's probably worse in theater than a lot of people see. Maxine, have you been in a play where there was a hairdresser? And if there was that hairdresser able to do anything with your hair?
Oh my God, I've been on film sets and in shows where I've had to do my own hair and makeup because I could not trust the person to do it. And they were just so overwhelmed, and I was like, it's okay, I got this. To put my money into learning and teaching myself, how to do it well. And yeah, definitely. Still to this day.
Okay. So that is major for me when it comes to what we're doing and what we're not doing in theater. So now is plug-in time. So yeah, it's just plug-in time till we go, and we're going soon because I'm sick of looking at all y'all. Laurel. Natasha, smile, laugh. Thank you. Jesus, I just made a joke and you.
I'm tired.
Lord,
I'm tired.
Tired, Lord. Okay, children. Time for the children to go to bed. Laurel, what are you working on?
Just last night I got learned I was going to be doing a short play again with
Lord.
Noelle Azzarello.
Okay. Yeah.
She wrote me in for another one, and it'll be not live this time and shot partly in person, COVID compliant, and shot mostly remotely. And I don't know.
Yeah, well, with Noelle, of course you don't.
It's called Overtone, and Women's Theater Festival did it as part of Fringe, I think.
Okay.
Last year, maybe.
Speaking of, Johanna, what's going on? What you got going on at WTF?
Well, our next big project is a modern verse adaptation of Othello, written by Mfiniso Odefio, directed by the incomparable Jamaica Holloway Burrell. And she will be setting this all virtual production in a elite all Black femme boarding school environment. And the lead creative team is all Black femme identifying people. And I'm just trying to do my best to be the best producer I can be that supports and uplifts these creative voices to tell the story.
Thank you. See, there you go. The example, perfect example. Erin, what's going on in your life besides petting the cat? Okay, God, that did not sound right. Oh my God, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, she like.
Was anybody thinking anything before he said it?
We forgive you. We forgive you. But yeah, she likes to make a cameo on pretty much every meeting that I attend these days. Basically, ditto what Johanna said. Just doing the WTF thing, gearing up for Othello, and this whole month we got a silent auction going to fund that season, which we are very, very excited about. So that's all I'm doing.
Okay, thank you. And shut up, Ty. I came to my mind as I was saying it. Maxine, what's going on in your world?
Yeah, well, got a couple of things going. I am part of a series called .org, which you can find on Facebook and Vimeo. And our first season is out. We're currently working on our second season. We shot our first socially distanced, COVID safe first episode a couple weeks ago. So we're in the process of hopefully getting some more funding so we can continue our season. So there's that. And then I'm also working on my music as well. I'm working on recording my EP for my solo stuff. And then I started a protest band out after the BLM movement kicked off again. And we are working and writing songs about dismantling the systems that oppress people. So those are some of the things I'm working on right now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Brooke, what's going on with you and Mr. Honeycutt?
Well, nothing much on the theater front. As I said, I do have South Stream came out with I do have my first short film called Shelter, which was, by the way, shout out Maxine. I saw your film, Roll Pin Punch, as part of the Carrboro Festival, because my film was part of that festival as well. But yeah, sheltershortfilm.com is where you can find more stuff about that. And then other than that, I'm writing, working on new projects because I'm not in theaters right now, unfortunately.
Well. And I'll just say, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Maxine and Brooke, I haven't seen my invitation to be in a film yet. Moving on, Natasha, what you got going on?
I would say the biggest thing I've got going on now is I will be directing a play called You Wouldn't Expect. We're expecting it to be in Raleigh next year, and it's about the North Carolina eugenics program.
Okay.
That took place in the 50s.
Great. That is great. Where would that be, may I ask? You're not ready to.
Right now, it looks like it'll be at Dorothea Dix, where some of the actual procedures took place. We're still working.
Okay,
that out,
stuff like that scare me.
Yeah.
Haunted. We're gonna do a haunted house play in a haunted house. Yeah, I'm not gonna be there. Yes, that is.
You will be there to see this, but
yes, it is cool. Yeah, it is. It is cool, John. Chase, what you doing with your life?
I'm just cooling, man. I'm sorry, no.
That's the thug that we were looking for. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? But I had 3 episodes of a horror series are out right now called Optics Falls. It's on YouTube. You gotta find it. You can type in Easy Day Entertainment. It's EAZEDAYENT on YouTube, and 3 episodes are out. In January, another series that I recorded called Daddy's Boys is going to be coming out. I'm going to be posting on my Facebook about that. Working on a few more series right now, just waiting for the go ahead for COVID. I mean, that's as far as I can go, is waiting for that to ease up, hopefully. And my podcast with 3 of my friends, it's not a theater podcast, but it's called Brother from Another, with A's at the end, because I'm a thug. So that's pretty much all I got right now.
Okay. Yeah, you doing films too, and I ain't. Something interesting, y'all. Chase was at the taping of Black Nativity because his daughter was in it, and
look out for that
so
too,
funny.
my daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, his daughter's in that. So it was funny because I was telling him I want to get into film, and he was like, I want to get back on the stage. And I just looked at him like, what? And yeah, I guess grass is always greener, or you think it's always greener. So, but I still want to do film. Somebody, I don't care if I die in the first 20 seconds.
Do film.
I will be the best corpse ever. Okay, Chase, don't talk to me. All right, Ty, what's going on with you?
Speaking of films, I'm also working on horror film Ocracoke, in which a vicious 160-year-old vampire masquerading as a charming 20-year-old runs the bucolic beach community of Ocracoke as a benevolent despot with a combination of economic incentives and fear. How much evil will society tolerate? Production is paused right now due to COVID, but be on the lookout for Ocracoke coming sometime next year.
Natasha, are you
Did
doing
everybody
something
hear all that?
Because you do that beach stuff. Yeah, we got all of it in there.
Okay, cool. Trying to get it all in before I got dropped again.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Natasha, go ahead. Are you doing something with it?
Yeah, just Ocracoke is my that is my home away from home, and I do actually work the Pirate Jamboree every year, but due to hurricanes and COVID, we have been canceled the past couple of years, but we're already start planning for next year. But yes, Ty, I'm always in Ocracoke, and that's my favorite place to be, and my escape place. Yes, Lauren.
Okay, so I got from two different people because I told y'all my MLK quote. One is silence is complicit, and the other one is in the end we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So ask away, theater people, because we want you guys to be with us. But include us in the process. And Lauren, you figured out how to. I really want to see that, Lauren, if you can. I want to see the Hershey's Kiss commercial. I want it with sound. If you can pull that one back up. She figured out how to do the sound, guys. So while she's looking for that, because I think she probably is. Oh yeah, let me do another plug. Let me plug. So tomorrow on RDU on Stage, they're interviewing, is it Marin Hinkle? Did I say that right? Anybody? From Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, tomorrow at 4 to talk about love, loss, and what I wore. And then for Virtual Friday, we're hosting a community coloring night with Coloring Broadway at 7:30. The coloring thing goes well because it calms my nerves. Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Lauren. Share with us, please. Ty just gonna sit there and read, and try to read fast. Yeah, I see why you're reading fast, because you just keep going out. Okay, here we go. Bring us some figgy pudding. You got to turn the speaker on it, Lauren. Yeah, that's gonna help. Go back. Look, go help us, Lord.
People didn't like that commercial?
Yep.
You gotta be kidding me.
I know, man. I'm grooving over here to this. I'm like, I like this.
Right.
I'm not surprised. Surprised, not surprised, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And they said the little girl, like I said, the little girl killed the Hershey's. And then they said, well, they got the right people for it because it was a black person stealing something. So yeah. And they also mentioned this next commercial. Look at Laurel's face. Like, are you serious? Yeah. Also, this next commercial, Lauren, if you got that one ready, they said that this one shouldn't be played either because, again, they're trying to appease a people so that they don't lose their business. Yes, ma'am. Amazing, please. Yes, amazing. Okay, give her a minute. Okay, while she's taking her minute, and then we're gonna show that one, and then because Natasha needs to go to bed apparently.
Well, if I have a need to read through of a script, I'll be sure to let you know. I'm working on something right now, but it's a long way from finished.
Yeah, well, if it requires a big black person, then that here I am. And I get this, as long as I get to sit down sometime during it, that's all that matters. That's just, Johanna, when you put me in something else, make sure I ain't got to stand up. All right, next one.
Star of the winter show is
Good evening. All schools across the country will close by the end of the week until further notice as coronavirus reached out.
Now, first thing I want to say is that is one hell of a flashlight. I'm just I'm sorry. I want that flashlight. The second thing,
Amazon delivers.
wait, you wanted what?
Amazon delivers, right?
Yeah, No, the second thing is I'm sorry. The first minute or so, I was like, that little boy want to have sex with that little girl. That's what's going on. I ain't thinking about her balleting. But yeah, there's backlash about that too. Why does she have? I've literally seen. Well, black people don't dance unless it's hip hop. Oh wow. Okay. Well, there's that. So that's the thug chase. Anyway, so guys, I want to say thank you. It's almost 2 hours. That's usual. Laura, we told you an hour and a half just because we want you to stay
You
up.
did. You did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, come on. Okay, yeah. Well, it's you. Come on, that's what I'm gonna tell you now.
My TV's not gonna
Your TV's not gonna watch itself. Oh wow. Yeah, that's how that works, huh? I thank you guys for being up here. I learned some things, and I hope you guys did as well. I hope people at home watching. My mom watches, and she was up here, but she never asked a question. She usually asks a question. So,
Hi, Mom.
yeah, everybody say hey, Mom.
Hi.
I do want to thank you guys. Don't worry, I'm not stopping, and you all will be back at some point. I'm trying to get through as many people as I can before I start having people repeat if I can. But I do want you guys back, and definitely, even when theater opens again, I don't want to stop this because I want to expand it to not just be torn, but to be other things, and for us to be able to vent. And again, for people to see us more than just a one-dimensional. And it's kind of funny I'm saying one-dimensional because we're on stage. We're actually three-dimensional. But people don't think we live when we get off the stage, that we stay in a fantasy world. So we don't have problems. We don't have issues. But each of you shared something about yourself that you probably wouldn't have in any other setting. And so I know more, and I think other people know more. Like I know that Ty's Wi-Fi, we all need to raise some money and help him fix that because it's
more than just the Wi-Fi too because I'm poor, so thanks. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, we all poor. I don't know who you think up here got. Who you think up here talking about kidding?
I'm not
No, you
poor, buddy.
serious?
I'm not poor, buddy.
Chase.
I am rich in spirit. Thank you very much.
Okay, Spirit.
Accept that.
Okay, Spirit. All right, tell me what bill did Spirit pay last?
Oh, well, luckily for me, my great spirit allows me to work and not be miserable. So it pays me in a job.
Oh, you know what? And let's do a quick COVID thing because I feel like I got 8 more minutes of your time, Laura. The TV would just have to wait. And this is for everybody. We're gonna go through just like we went through at the very beginning. This is how we end it. Starting with Laurel ending with Laurel because she'll try to get off early. Starting with Ty. We'll go from the bottom to the top. How has COVID and being and I want y'all to be as honest as you can be. How has COVID affected you these past months?
Well, it sucked. I had at least 3 projects canceled this year. The biggest one, I was supposed to fly out to Wisconsin for the whole summer doing Legally Blonde as Emmett. Like that was for a professional show, paid and everything. Like that was going to be a huge deal. But took it in stride. Other than that, it's just been unnerving to still have to be working through it. So.
Okay, thank you. Chase, how has it affected you? And when I say, just so y'all know, wait, when I say affected, I mean everything. I mean physically, mentally, everything. Go ahead, Chase.
I work for Amazon, which is interesting. Just watching that commercial. It has made my Amazon life crazy. Like it hasn't stopped. So pandemic, what? Stage 1, you said what? Phase 1, 2, and 3? No phases for me. I'm out there every day almost. But what it has done is, silver lining. I have more time to spend with my 2 daughters because I'm not working and in the show because I usually stay in the show. So it has allowed me to at least be home with them more, which honestly I need it. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Natasha?
For me, I actually like being home, so that part has not really impacted me that much. It has just given me more time with self to just kind of reevaluate, definitely counting all kind of blessings, realizing just how blessed I am compared to other situations. So a lot of reflection. But yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Brooke?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I definitely almost feel guilty that, I haven't been that badly affected. Certainly personally, my job is moved remote, which is, I vastly prefer to going to the office. And it's a kind of job that can do that. So I'm really, really lucky in that regard to be financially secure. I did lose a show this summer, but that's, compared to what other people have had to put up with. I shot my film during COVID entirely. I wrote it so that everyone could shoot their scenes separately. And then we just edited it all together. And it worked really well. So I was really lucky for that. So I've been, I feel kind of almost, not almost. I feel a bit guilty because I have been so fortunate. And I've been, giving the food bank, but also just, trying to be mindful and grateful for what I have and try to help where I can.
Okay, thank you. Maxine?
Yeah, first, I just want to say thank you again for having us. It was super awesome to hear everyone's words and thoughts and feelings and those commercials that were both super cute. So whatever, everyone else has problems. Secondly, COVID has been really, it's been a mixed bag, it's really been, I was devastated in the beginning. I'm a freelance artist. I work full-time freelance, and I just saw all of my hard work that I had booked myself out for so and so months go out the window, and I don't know when my next check is coming. Through that beginning part, I really had a lot of time to kind of reflect and think and reflect on what this pandemic, did to the world in general, the things that I want to change about my life and the things that I want to adjust and do moving forward. So at the end of the day, I'm grateful to still be working. I still am able to find some work, even though it's definitely not the same as it was before. I'm still able to do some virtual teaching, which is a little bit of impact in these kids who are super struggling right now with online and virtual learning. So anything I can do to help them has been really cool. And I've been working on a lot of self-healing, working on boundaries, working on relationship with myself, a lot of self-care, a lot of just trying to be more proactive in my artistry. And if there are things holding me back, actually getting a chance to figure out what those things are. And just working on my relationships with people that I care about, and just trying to help the world in any ways that I can. So kind of like Brooke was saying, I'm grateful in a lot of ways. I'm healthy, I'm alive, I'm not, in that situation. So I'm thankful for that.
Okay, thank you. Erin?
Yeah, I'm also a homebody. So in that respect, it finally has served me well to be completely fine just sitting at home every day. But even I'm starting to get tired of it. I'm ready to go out into public. But no, if it weren't for COVID, I was doing event photography primarily before COVID, and haven't been doing any of that now. And that was really sad because I lost this thing that I was kind of ready to get serious about. And but I wouldn't be working with Women's Theater Festival if I was still doing that. So it, closed a door and opened a window, or whatever they say. Fortunate to not have gotten it, really glad. I remember in those early days, spraying my grocery bags, it's everywhere. What do I got? So I feel fortunate to have stayed healthy, and yeah, happy to be here tonight, and appreciate hearing everybody.
Thank you. Now, Johanna, you told us some things, but are there any other ways that it has affected you?
Yeah. I know we're encouraged to be very honest on Torn, but yeah, work-wise, it's been very fulfilling. It's been gratifying to get to do so much work with people through WTF, to be bringing in ticket income and paying it back out to people. But the outside of that, I'm definitely struggling. It is a daily job to keep my mental health in order. My son is 8, he's in 2nd grade, and he is autistic. And I homeschool him in the mornings and run WTF the rest of the day. And my husband hasn't gotten unemployment since July. And I missed almost all of my nephew's first year. I hope she doesn't mind me saying it, but my other sister is pregnant, and I probably won't be able to be there for the birth of my niece or see her. And it's a real freaking struggle to make it through these times. But thank goodness that I have been able to do fulfilling work with really amazing people. And I get to click on the Zoom with Erin and our team a couple of days a week, and we grind out some really cool work and some great projects. And somehow we keep selling tickets, and we get to keep sending those stipend checks out, and that makes it worthwhile. And I've been able to, I told everybody, I try to be transparent about our budget. I'll let anybody look at it, and I'll talk anyone through our organizational budget. But, my salary going into COVID was $416 a month. And so producing a festival and producing Occupy the Stage and getting these grants, this is actually keeping my family alive and homed. So that's something to be thankful for, but it's hard work. So
Yeah.
that's the truth.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. Yeah. Laurel.
Well, it's been devastating. I was right in the middle of rehearsing a show. I only do 2 shows a year. I have a lot of friends who just go from show to show, and I used to do that too. But with having a little one at home, I have to prioritize that. And so to not have one of those just be gone was pretty awful. I've definitely gotten some fulfillment and enjoyment out of the virtual projects, and I'm glad that they've kept theater companies such as WTF and others going and helped people feel those creative juices and all of that. But it's also not the same as being in a theater and performing in front of physical bodies, and I miss that pretty desperately. I'm trying to just thrive in my much smaller circle of life right now. Been working out and eating right, and just trying to help people in my job as much as I can, because so many people are struggling, and I'm in a position at my financial institution where I can try to make a difference for people who are struggling with various issues related to the state of the economy right now. And so that brings me some fulfillment. And as others have said, I'm extremely privileged that I have not really suffered financially, and I'm still healthy and all of that. I still get very depressed about the failures of our government and individual folks who seem to act like everything's fine and are in fact making it worse for the entire society. But yeah, I don't want to end on a down note, but
Well, I'm going last, so it's fine. So the plus side, I've done more theater because I ain't got to learn lines. All I got to do is put my script right below my camera, and everybody thinks I've learned my lines, and I'm just reading. I'm using my computer screen as a prompter, and I'm just scrolling as I'm doing my lines. Don't tell Johanna that, because I did 3 plays with her company. But I ain't learned nothing.
Why I'm acting? It's because I don't have to memorize the lines.
I think I've done 8 plays as an actor, but I am still doing the sound design stuff. I'm doing video editing now because companies want to, when they put out their virtual plays, they want a promo. And somehow they found out I was able to edit and do that. And now, yeah, here I am with that. I was a technical director for Black Nativity. But right after George Floyd, there was a real bad period for me. I was tired of being in the house. I was tired of turning on the TV and seeing George with a knee on his neck, calling his mama. Because every time he said mama, I thought of mine. And it made me an angry person. And not necessarily where I just fussed and cussed everybody out. My answers were short. And my opinion was long. Whereas I wasn't open to hear what anybody else thought, because I didn't care. And that's probably why I made so much of a fuss about theater, because theater could change that in me. Like if I go to let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's 4 people up here I've worked with before. So if I went to a rehearsal with Natasha, she calls me her theater hubby. And that was gonna change whatever mood. If I'm in there with Maxine's and I start singing songs, that's gonna do it. Laura and I have the driest sense of humor ever, so that's definitely gonna do it. And then Chase, how in the world can you just be miserable with Chase around you? But I didn't have that anymore. And as much as I used to say I hate being around people, that's why I don't go to the fair, I needed physical communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't able to get that. And yes, I love Zoom. I've learned everything about it, and StreamYard. I'm learning StreamYard and all this stuff. But I needed the human touch. And because I wasn't getting it, and then I had to see all this stuff on TV, and then Donald Trump, it took me down. It took me down. And there are still moments now. And when I asked you what I asked you, Natasha, about questioning your Blackness, I know it makes it sound like I'm saying, do you want to be Black or not want to be Black? But when I say questioning my Blackness, I mean every time a comment was made on my job or my first thing was, are they saying that because I'm Black? What do they mean by that? What do you? So I'm questioning my Blackness. Whereas and they may not even mean it, but between COVID and everything else that was going on, I was in my own shell. Now, yes, I'm able to go out in the public and stuff, but I was in my own bubble, and that's not me. Not now in my life. That's not me. And so I'm still working to stay out of it. I'm not as bad as I was, but there are moments where I just feel like I can't deal with it. And I would just sit and I'll just angrily shake for a few minutes and then say, let me go do something that will get my mind off of it. There have been days where I couldn't get out of bed. Not that I didn't want to, I couldn't. I just couldn't move. I just couldn't move because it felt like something during the course of that day was going to add to what was already on my back. And I just didn't want to deal with it. So, yeah. So, anyway. So, yeah, Laura, I guess I end on my own down note. But thank you guys, because this, believe it or not, this helps. This helps me get through it as well. So, and some of you may not have talked as much as you felt like you needed to, but you did. Trust me, you said enough. Natasha, you can now go to bed. Lord Jesus. So I thank you guys, and I'm going to say goodnight because there's a tear coming down my eye, and I don't want you guys to see that because you're not supposed to. So thanks, guys. You're now indoctrinated into the family. So look for phone calls or something. You'd be like, oh God, Juan, just sent me something on Facebook. I do not want to read it. I do not want any parts of it. Yeah, you might want to do that because I'll find out where you live. Don't worry. Johanna is the only one who I can't come in her house, but I stand outside the door in a hazmat suit. Or better yet, a Grinch outfit. Have y'all seen the Grinch is crazy this year? He out in people's houses. Anyway, all right, y'all. It's 9:41. We need to be out of here. Yeah. Shoot. All right. Bye, guys. Love y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Juan.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Good night.
Much
Much
love.
love, y'all.